A small boat is floating in a river. No one is steering it. No one is pulling a rope. Yet instead of pointing neatly downstream, the boat slowly turns sideways and lies across the current. More than 1,000 years ago, the Chinese poet Wei Yingwu noticed exactly this kind of scene. In one famous line, he described an unmanned ferry boat lying crosswise in the spring tide. On the surface, it is a quiet, poetic image, an empty boat, a rainy evening, and a river moving by itself. But hidden inside that image is a real piece of physics. Why would a boat in flowing water turn sideways? At first, we may imagine the river simply pushing the boat forward, with the bow pointing downstream. That seems natural. But a floating boat is not an arrow. It is not fixed in one direction. Water pushes on every part of its hull, and those pushes are not always equal. If the current hits the boat slightly more on one side, the boat begins to rotate. In physics, this turning effect is called torque. A force does not only move an object forward or backward. If it acts away from the center, it can also twist the object. That is what happens to a boat in a river. The current pushes on the hull. The hull turns. As it turns, the area facing the water changes. Then the water applies a new pattern of pressure. The boat keeps adjusting until the forces and turning effects become balanced. This balanced condition is called equilibrium. But equilibrium does not always mean the boat points in the direction we expect. The most stable position may be diagonal or even nearly crosswise to the current, especially if the boat is light, broad, or caught in uneven water. A river is not a smooth-moving road. Different parts of the water move at different speeds. Near the bank, the flow may be slower because of friction. In the middle, the current may be faster. Around rocks, bends, and shallow areas, the water may swirl into small eddies. So a boat is not being pushed by one clean force. It is being pushed by many changing forces at once. That is why small boats, leaves, and pieces of wood often rotate as they drift. They are not moving randomly. They are responding to changing flow. There is another important idea: resistance. A boat moving sideways through water feels much more resistance than a boat cutting forward with its bow. So when a boat turns broadside to the current, the water presses against a larger surface. This can slow its downstream motion and make the crosswise position more stable for a time. You can test a simple version of this with a leaf in a stream or even a small object in a sink. Place it in moving water, and it rarely stays perfectly straight. It turns, wobbles, and then often settles into a position where the water's push and the object's shape balance each other. This is why Wei Yingwu's old poetic image feels so convincing. The unmanned ferry is not just abandoned, it is physically believable. The river itself has arranged the boat. The deeper lesson is that nature often finds balance without anyone controlling it. The boat does not know physics. The river does not make a decision, but force, rotation, drag, and flowing water produce a stable result. The poet saw loneliness in an empty ferry. Science sees something else as well, a floating object quietly negotiating with the current. The same scene can be both poetry and physics.